Hey, how are you guys doing? This is Rob of Rule of 2 Review. Welcome back, and today we need to talk about Bayonetta 3. It's a game that we're all really excited for and hasn't really been in the news cycle as of late, except for a brief mention in the last Nintendo Direct, and it's definitely had myself and probably a lot of other people wondering what's really happening with that game. So it's really no secret that I, just like I'm sure many of you guys, am a huge fan of the Bayonetta series, of the two Bayonetta games that exist currently. I played the original game on the Xbox 360 when it first came out. So good. That game is amazing. And it was the perfect time in the middle of the 7th generation to release a game like that that felt like kind of an evolution to what the Devil May Cry games had been doing the generation before. And she was a great new protagonist. There's a lot of cool demon stuff going on, a lot of insane action and combos. The gameplay is just top notch. You get a little bit of an over-sexy kind of character, and sometimes, hey, that stuff isn't the worst thing to throw into your game when it's handled right. And I think when it comes to Bayonetta the character and to the whole series, it's a great balance of all of these great elements. And it was a wonderful game. And then, of course, we know Bayonetta 2 came out exclusively for the Wii U, which was controversial in some ways and exciting in other ways, and it somehow managed to be even better than the original game, at least in my opinion, and it seems like most people pretty much agree with that. The first game was actually insanely hard, and one of the things I think that Bayonetta 2 did much better than the first game was definitely still challenging, and there was a lot of things to do, but I think they struck a better balance between difficulty, but still being accessible enough for experienced or even new players to really make it through that game and kind of dive into the combat and the fluidity of it all. And it just was an amazing package. Great visuals, great story. Bayonetta is an awesome character with a lot of kind of pizzazz and a lot of personality, and I really love that about her. The world was incredible, and it was just an awesome hit on the Wii U. And of course, now we know that Bayonetta 3 is a thing. It is a game that Platinum Studios is working on, and they of course confirmed at the Game Awards when they revealed the game that it will be exclusive to Nintendo and to the Switch. And they then, of course, released the Bayonetta 1 and 2 pack, kind of like a port or a remaster, so to speak, for the Switch a few months after that. And it was all great news. Everyone was hyped. Bayonetta 3 is a reality. It was like everyone's dream, coming off of Bayonetta 2 and then having a brand new Nintendo console, the Switch, revealed, released. Everyone loved it. What's Platinum Games been doing? Would they possibly be amazing enough to make a Bayonetta 3? Would it be a multi-platform? Would it stay exclusive to Nintendo? I mean, all those questions were up in the air. But now we know it's a thing, and I think I speak for most people when I say I am massively excited for it. I think they're going to kill it. To make such an incredible game with the first one, like a 9.5 out of 10 kind of quality in my opinion, and then to top that with Bayonetta 2 and make essentially a 10 out of 10 experience, again, in my opinion, you'd have to think that they're only going to continue that trend of like crazy good quality with Bayonetta 3. And the fact that it's going to be on the Switch and portable and all the good things, portable home console, whatever you want to do, we know that they're going to nail it. But we're also still wondering about that game. Other than the initial reveal, again, 13, 14 months ago, whatever, at 2 video game awards ago at the end of 2017, since it was revealed, we've really heard almost nothing about it, and we haven't even seen gameplay. We know nothing about a release date or a release window. We don't understand anything about what they're adding or changing or evolving within the game, what's staying the same. I mean, what's it going to look like? How is Bayonetta going to be different in this game compared to the previous two? All these great questions. And like I said in the beginning of the video as well, we did have a Nintendo Direct a couple of weeks ago, an amazing Nintendo Direct, and Bayonetta 3 did get a brief cameo only via mention. Just a quick mention of, hey, we know you're excited for Bayonetta 3, and we'll show you more later. Today is not the time to talk about it. And it's like, well, it was great to hear you mention the game and acknowledge its existence because we've been waiting, but it was sad to not get anything else. And so one of the main questions I still have, beyond just when will we see the game, what is the game going to look like? Obviously, that's something we're all waiting for, probably E3, you'd have to think. The other question is, when will we actually play this game? Coming into this year, here we are now. It's March 1st, the day that I'm recording this, so we've officially hit the third month of the year. And so we still have, 9 months to go, most of 2019 still ahead of us. And so the question is Bayonetta 3 a game that we're going to see in 2019? Or is it a game that has so far in development still to go that it might actually be a 2020 game sometime next year? It's pretty crazy to think about. And obviously, one of the big factors that kind of leads us into the conversation of when we may see it is the fact that Platinum also surprised everybody by announcing Astral Chain coming out for the Nintendo Switch this year in August. Literally, 5 months from now? Well, 5.5 months, because it's like August 30th, the very end of the month in August. Basically the very end of summer, we're going to see another game from Platinum Games that looks absolutely incredible, and you would think has taken a lot of time and manpower and resources and money to develop. This isn't no scrub game. This ain't no little side spin-off indie short project. This looks like the real deal, a AAA, high-quality, expansive, massive action game that Platinum is known for. And so with that game coming out this year, did that kind of change what we might expect as far as Bayonetta 3? And I talked about this, of course, on Twitter after the Nintendo Direct, and then in my own video kind of recapping the Nintendo Direct. I feel like there is a good chance that seeing Astral Chain revealed and confirmed for this year in August, there's a good chance that that means that's meant to be their big game for this year, and that Bayonetta 3 might not actually be a 2019 game like a lot of us wanted to think. Of course, a lot of people, myself included, had been wrapping the Bayonetta 3 conversation up with also the Metroid Prime 4 conversation. Until the delay of Metroid Prime 4, many people were constantly thinking, well, Bayonetta 3 is a game we're waiting for, Metroid Prime 4 is a game we're waiting for. They're probably going to release in the same year or maybe around the same time to help be a boon and feather in the cap, so to speak, of whatever release year for the Switch. And that'll be a great thing. We'll see them released around the same time. Well, Metroid Prime 4, everything changed with that game, as we know. They delayed it indefinitely. They've restarted development. I think the game is 3-4 years away. It's going to be a while. So now we just are left wondering what's going to happen with Bayonetta. And, you know, a huge part of me wants to feel that it's probably going to be a 2020 game. I truly think that it might be, because Astral Chain, I'm going to admit to you guys, it's changed everything for me. I feel like that game has shown that, okay, we've got a game to release in 2019, and this other huge game that we're working on, that's going to show up in 2020. Like, why release those in the same year? Now, of course, it's not impossible that we see these two games release in the same year in 2019, so we have to remember that. I talked about this in my Nintendo Direct recap. I saw a great tweet that made a really good point that they have previously shown, Platinum Games has shown that they've worked on multiple games at one time. Because my whole question about them doing this is, you know, that's probably two pretty large teams they'd have to have working on two different games. And, you know, how big is Platinum Games' team? We don't know, or their whole studio, I should say. We don't know, but it seems like they've got at least two teams, because to develop games that have so much going on and you would think would be so epic in scope means two big teams working on each one of these games. But they have released games very similar, very close to each other, I should say. Wonderful 101 and Bayonetta 2 came out within a year of each other. Vanquish and Bayonetta 1 also came out very close to each other in the 7th gen. So, you know, there is a good chance that they've had these games working, you know, almost in tandem with each other, and maybe they're going to release pretty close to each other, which would mean we might see Astral Chain on August 30th this year, and for all we know, Bayonetta 3 is really just right around the corner, and E3, they maybe show us a bunch of gameplay, they give us a release date, and maybe that could show up, like, in November, or even December, you know? Nintendo's been big with having one big December release in the Switch era, the two Switch holidays so far. So maybe that's the plan for something like a Bayonetta 3. And I would love that. It would be great to get two huge, epic Platinum Games released this year. But I still just kind of feel like it doesn't make sense. I mean, if we look at how many games are scheduled to come out in 2019 for the Switch, as far as exclusive stuff, we're not even talking multi-platform or third-party. There's plenty of kick-ass games coming out in that respect. I mean, Nintendo is nailing the third-party situation this year, and it is so exciting to see. But when we look at the first-party and the exclusive stuff, how many times have we talked about all the games we know that we're getting? They just showed us the new Pokemon game. We're getting a new Fire Emblem game. We're getting a new Animal Crossing game. We're getting a new Luigi's Mansion game. I mean, we're getting a new Yoshi game. It's ridiculous. We even just had a new Super Mario Bros. Port. And so many other things. There's a lot going on this year. Daemon X Machina is another one. Third-party exclusive. And I kind of feel that beyond whatever kind of weird surprises might show up at E3 and confirmed for near the end of the year, I feel like Bayonetta 3 becomes one of those perfect games to kind of, I hate to use this term because it sounds negative, but I'm going to use it anyway, to kind of dangle the carrot, dangle the promise of Bayonetta 3 in front of us, the gamer and the Switch fan, to say, this is the promise of the future beyond 2019. This is a game to look forward to in 2020. Because when you think about how the business models of gaming companies and gaming consoles works, you do have to have a little bit of a promise of the future. And I've actually talked about several times on my channel, especially in the first year of the Switch, that I've enjoyed seeing Nintendo sort of embrace that. They traditionally don't really talk about games or show games that are for the way future. Usually they're showing stuff that's very close to completion, releasing within a couple of months of their reveal, or at least later in the same calendar year of their reveal. That's usually what they do. And for the most part, that's great. I wish more companies would do that, actually, and it's one of the best qualities of Nintendo. But that doesn't mean that there isn't also a value for some value for occasionally doing the opposite and showing stuff for way down the road. That's why I thought it was great that they showed Metroid Prime 4 when they did. We had no idea to expect that they were going to give us this massive delay and restart the game. So you have to kind of go back. You have to put your mind back before the delay and just think of that 2017 reveal up until the delay. And everyone was like, man, they showed it too early. I can't believe Nintendo showed a game so far before they were ready to reveal and launch it. And I never minded that. Even as the world's biggest Metroid fan, I was like, hey, there's so many other great games in 2017, and then there's so many other great games in 2018 and promised for 19. I didn't mind waiting for Metroid Prime 4, this game that I just, oh my god, cannot wait to play. And with Bayonetta, I feel like it could be another example of them doing that. 2019 seems pretty stacked. We know we're getting more stuff at E3 on top of that. We have nothing to worry about as far as games to play and software to help move consoles and more Switches into people's homes in 2019. They don't need to release Bayonetta 3 in 2019, especially because of Astral Chain. I mean, on top of every other game we know we're playing on the Switch in 2019, let's also throw in another Platinum Games game. We're good. We are covered in 2019. So I want Bayonetta 3 as soon as possible, you guys. I want it tomorrow. I'm ready to play the game. But if we look at the breadth of everything we have to play on the Switch, and then for me, I also have a PS3, an Xbox One, and a PC that I game on. I've got plenty of games to play on those as well. I don't need Bayonetta 3 to release in 2019. I got Astral Chain, I got Fire Emblem, I got 100 other games I'm going to be playing this year. I am covered. In fact, make it a 2020 game because that gives me more time to play other games, and then it'll give me time to play Bayonetta 3 whenever it releases in 2020, and then I won't have to struggle on which game I'm going to play at which times, because, man, I play a lot of games on all devices, and I am also a busy dude with a career, a relationship, a full-time band. It's crazy. It's crazy I get to game as much as I already do on multiple platforms. So to me, with all these great games coming out in 2019, I feel like Nintendo and Platinum knows there's really no reason to release that game this year, unless they just want to have overkill in 2019. But if they do that, then it's like, what do we have to look forward to in 2020 and in 2021? Especially with Metroid Prime 4 delayed probably so far into the future. You guys know my theory. I think that game is a next-gen game. I think Metroid Prime 4 is coming out on the console after the Switch, or at the very least cross-generationally with the Switch, but that's how far in the future I think that game is. And so if Bayonetta 3, one of the few unknown big games we know to play on the Switch soon, if that came out this year, what's happening next year? What does 2020 have to offer us, the Nintendo fans and the Switch fans and the average gamer who owns a Switch? Right now, I don't know what else they do because they've already released a Zelda and a Mario and a Fire Emblem and an Animal Crossing and a Luigi's Mansion and a Xenoblade and a Splatoon and an ARMS. I mean, oh my god, we're running out of franchises. And I don't think that we're going to see an F-Zero revival all of a sudden. Pikmin 4 is definitely an option on the table, but we may even not see Pikmin 4 for all we know, which would be tragic. We're running out of stuff. Nintendo needs stuff for 2020. And so, I know I'm just beating a dead horse at this point, so I'll wrap up here. Reminding you one time, they need stuff for 2020. Why take this one extra game on top of all the amazing crap we have in 2019 and just shove it, force it into 2019 at the end of the year? Even if it'll be ready by the end of the year, think it'd be smarter to make that like a first quarter release in 2020, and it's going to be a massive hit if they do so. And it'll have a lot of room to breathe. We don't need to just cram that into the last 3 months of the year, the busiest time of year. It's just not necessary. We're going to get that Pokemon game, and that's going to sell all the Switches we need. So at the end of the day, that's just kind of how I view the Bayonetta 3 situation. And it's sort of my, I guess, pseudo prediction or theory, a guess really, on when we'll see the game. Yes, there is a chance it shows up in 2019, but I think that there's a larger chance, for all of the reasons I discussed here, that we're probably going to see that game in 2020. So I would say it's 30-70. 30% chance it shows up this year, but probably a 70% chance we're going to see it next year. So that's what I think. Wanted to talk about this game, something I'm massively hyped for. You guys are as well. Still very mysterious. And I guess we'll wait and see. You know, like I said, most of us probably expected E3. We're going to get the door blown open on Bayonetta 3. Hopefully we see gameplay, hopefully we see a trailer, we get all sorts of info, and we get a release date or a release window, which would probably confirm if it's going to be 2019 or 2020. So until Nintendo and Platinum shows us what's going on, those are my theories and predictions and opinions on everything happening. I can't wait for this game. What do you guys think? Obviously, I'm sure most of you are excited for Bayonetta 3, so do you expect it to be crammed into the end of the year? Or do you think, like I do, that regardless of if it's ready to go or not, they're probably going to wait and make this a 2020 release for the Nintendo Switch? Tell me what you guys think. That, of course, is it for me. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of 2 Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.